Welcome, everyone. Good to see you again. This is our second in our vlog series, Inside the Outside, where we meet with different outsiders and talk with them a little bit about who they are and what they do with the outside. So Gabrielle Bronagh and Bronagh Gallagher, so glad to have you with us today. You are our prototyping, developmental evaluation, make our work awesome kind of team. So glad to have you with us.
Wicked. And so, and I think for us, like when we talk about the outside, we talk about systems change, and systems change strategy, and we talk about participatory leadership. And then the kind of like third pillar of the work is developmental evaluation and prototyping. Like that's literally like a key element of everything we do and deliver. And prototyping, I think when people think about it, they think about it as like making a widget or making a product, or do you know what I mean? It comes from the tech world, at least how I first heard it. Yet here we are using it in systems change and social change. And so maybe my first question to you, also as a way to introduce yourselves and say a little bit about who you are and how you arrived in the outside world, is what is prototyping to you and what have you got to do with it? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I can go.
Woo. All right, Bronagh.
All right, and so I guess as a way of coming into the work, I have been deeply curious around how systems change, like how we do this big work of changing our health systems, our education systems, our economy, and have been in that inquiry for a while with the understanding that we're often schooled that it's top-down change, that it's hierarchically mandated, that it needs to be a big project all at once. And prototyping is a way of actually completely reversing the power that's needed to go to work to actually change things. So prototypes are small ways of testing an idea around how to make change happen. They start from the assumption that actually in a complex system, in a social system, we don't quite know everything that's happening that's creating the outcome that we're seeing. So by testing smaller ideas, not needing so many resources, not needing a huge project plan, we can go to work in a system quicker and sooner and learn more about what's actually causing the outcomes so that we can adapt and learn in response to that rather than what we think is happening. So that's my 1.0 answer, and I know Gabe will come in and keep building.
I love that it's like this reversal of power that you were just saying. I love that that's how you set it up. Bronagh was someone that we kind of like roped into the outside early on. We just kind of like, she didn't have much choice about it. We just kind of like didn't we choose? I mean, oh, Tuesday, you're muted.
Oh, that's one way to share the story. The other was we were a strange attractor. She couldn't help herself, but she had to come on in.
It was like this magnetic gravitational pull of the outside made it impossible for Bronagh to resist, right? Much akin to Gabrielle Bronagh, who had been like circling our world and then coming closer and closer and closer and closer until suddenly we were enmeshed in major work together. Boom, and there it was. And now, like, you oversee the developmental evaluation of everything we do at the outside.
No small thing, which I had no idea coming into it, and it's really been exciting and slightly overwhelming at times, as is systems change work, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I found myself into this work and into prototyping in particular was I was working in community development primarily, and really saw this whole dynamic, and particularly international community development, this whole dynamic of outside solutions or top-down solutions being imposed on communities, and how little that worked, and in fact how damaging it actually was. And that's how I found participatory leadership. And from there, then this idea of experimenting our way in, because even communities or the organizations or the people who are most affected actually might have an idea of what they think might work, but those ideas still also benefit from being tested, because we have assumptions about who needs to be included. We have assumptions about what's going to work. We have assumptions about what the context is going to be in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. And so this whole bringing a testing, a curiosity, an openness to discovering what can work along the way really is what prototyping is in systems change. There's a real mindset piece to it as well. And for me as a scholar and practitioner of this work, to really see the ways in which experimentation can help us get there more quickly. And I think in particular, from an equity perspective, as we think about how are we making our systems more equitable, our relationships, we're all in a big inquiry around how to do that. I mean, right now we're in such a moment of seeing so many different versions of experimentation,
Right.
of protests to taking down monuments to defunding police to, I mean, there's such a range of ideas that we're actually in the process of working on and trying out to see what will create the shifts that we want to see. And so that's what we're really encouraging with prototyping is hold the idea lightly about how to get there, but have an allegiance and a loyalty to the change that you're committed to seeing.
I love that. I think that feels like, and I'd love, Brennan, maybe you'll speak about that a little more, because I feel like that's one of the drums you beat for us all of the time, is like we get so committed to this one way of making change or this one way of working or this, that we forget the pattern we're trying to work on. And I feel like you kind of bring us back all of the time to actually what we're doing is interrupting a pattern and I don't want to talk for you, but could you speak to that a little bit? Because it feels like a key thing that keeps us flexible as we do this work.
Sure, I think so. I would definitely reference Glenda Yoyang here as someone I've learned from who really kind of coined this phrase of you're not trying to solve a problem, you're trying to shift a pattern. And so we are deeply conditioned into linear problem solving, problem, solution, whereas holding this kind of bigger pattern frames allows for the kind of web of relationships that we're actually deeply, deeply involved in regardless. And so when we're trying to make change, we're recognizing the different interdependencies and different connections, and they all need to change in an ongoing way. You're never going to solve poverty, but you can manage the problem to be in a better way. It's that kind of, we're in a kind of place of emergence always, and that's where the kind of patterns idea works from.
And just to jump off on that as well, I think when Bronagh and I were chatting about having this conversation with the two of you, we really wanted to highlight that we are practitioners who really integrate theory into our work quite strongly, and that relationship is really important to us. So whether it's Glenda Yang's work or Dave Snowden and the Cynefin work, to our complexity theorists like Adrienne Marie Brown, other ones, or the developmental evaluation field, there's just an incredible movement of that happening in Canada with Tamarack and McConnell. Right. And so we're really nested in, I think in the outside, we're really nested in an ecology of experimentation of social theories around how to go about systems change.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like for both of you, I feel like that's been a real root of the work for me going back decades, is like someone came up with a really great theory or a really great way of articulating something. And my immediate feeling was like, I want to go test that. I want to go try that. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's what we get to do at the outside. We get to try things out. You know what I mean? We get to take a model or a theory or an articulation of how change happens and like just have a crack at it and learn. And I feel like, at least in my career and choose, I think in yours, like we came across all of these models and we were like, wow, let's apply them. You know what I mean? Let's see how they actually work. And so I think that's been a huge driver behind how we've always gone about the work. It's wicked to hear you articulate it that way, actually.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it feels like it brings a different lens, right? It's part of the outside. It's part of what we do. You may not always hear Tim and I lead with that, which is why we wanted to do this series, right? Of Inside the Outside, and meet some of the other folks who are working with us and moving this work and shifting this work. And so wanted to thank you both for this today, but also just being with us on this team. This work is not for the faint of heart, and it's not to be done alone. And it's just amazing to do it with the two of you. So just wanted to give you a big thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, and very particularly with the two of you, we wouldn't be doing what we are doing now without you. I mean, you two have come in very early in our journey and been a huge part of it. So enormous gratitude.
Well, and thanks for giving us an opportunity to work with each other.
Well, there we go.
Nice.
And to be figuring it out together, I think, like taking what we all kind of know and then seeing how it makes sense. So I really appreciate how much I'm learning around how the theory actually works in practice.
Wicked. All right, friends, take good care. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.